I need all my scammer niggas, bring that cash out.
I personally choose for my own mental health and emotional stability to not really be close to no one in my family, because I know how judgmental they are. And I know that I wish in a fantasy world I could sit down and speak to all of them and be very open.
Yeah.
But that I could never do that. I know that they would all judge me. I still speak to them. Like, I still say hello. You know, we're still friends on social media. You know, we're still in group chats together. But what they know about me is very, very limited. I really do not speak to anyone like that. The only person that I really speak to is my sister. That's it. She's the only one that I'm really, really close to, that I still have a really good relationship with, that I'm very open with, because she's the only one who has shown me that it is okay to, you know what I'm saying, be open. She's never judged me. She's never used it against me. We get into an argument. She's never like, that's why you're a hoe, or that's why you're like, she's never done that to me. So I feel very safe with her, and I feel comfortable telling her like my everyday shit, like shit that happens with work, whatever. But with everyone else, I can't do that, because I know that they would never accept it. It would be one of those situations where like, oh yeah, you're cool, I like you, but I don't respect this work.
Mm-hmm.
But then you don't respect me because this is my work. And not only is it my work, it is a part of my identity. This is something that I'm 24/7. I can't escape it. Like, I cannot. So if you do not respect this work, you do not respect me as a person. That's how I look at it. And that's why I choose not to have a very close relationship with them, because it's like, it's never going to be authentic, ever. And I would have to put on a face and put on this like different persona, or like wash down the work that I do for them to accept. How can I wash that down when you can literally find me on Pornhub sucking? How can I wash that down? I can't do that. So either you're or you're not. And if you're not, then I can't be cool with you, because that's what I do. Like, I can't. Yeah. It is what it is.
It's crazy because I have a similar experience, but not with sex work. It's with me being gay, being whatever, dating women. And like, I hadn't even experienced anything with a woman like that. I mean, besides like kissing or whatever, like, you know, little truth or dare type shit. And I was in college, and me and my best friend at the time, like on Facebook, I put that we were in a relationship on Facebook. And, you know, like little girl shit, like teenage shit. And my family members, because my parents don't, well, at that time I didn't have them on social media. And my family members decided it was just a great idea to run to my parents, my dad specifically, because it's my dad's side of the family. And they ran to my dad and was like, oh, look, you know, Lexy is in a relationship with this girl. And my dad called me like, so what's this I hear about you being a dyke now? You're a dyke? You eat pussy now? That's what you like? You like to eat pussy? And like, literally, like, he just attacked me like that. And I was just like.
And they always go straight for the worst word that they can say: prostitute, slut, dyke. Like, they got to go for the most below the belt, hurtful ass shit. And it really, I'm sorry to cut you off, but it really just, having this comment, it really just makes them so pussy. Like, you're such a coward that you're going directly, sorry, just go ahead. It's just...
And so here I am about to celebrate 5 years with my girlfriend, and you know, my dad knows her. She's always over the house and everything. And I'm sure that my dad knows what it is, but we have never had that and me and my dad are actually close. Like, we're close. I talk to my dad frequently. Like, I hang out with my dad. But that is that, and of course my job, are the things that I cannot ever. And it's because at least with my relationship, I specifically go straight to that memory. Like, I cannot sit here and tell my dad this, because this is what I'm going to get. Like, I'm going to get attacked. And my brother told me, like, you know, he knows, he asked him about it. My dad asked my brother, like, what's up with, you know, Lexy and Chris? Like, she always around. Who is she? Da-da-da. But he won't come to me about it. And I'm okay with that.
It's fucking cowardice. Like, it's coward shit. It's fucking, that makes
their shit. Like,
a fucking coward. Yes. Like, their own whatever it can be. Like, I'll say in my instance, it has to be, it's projection in some way, because my dad is a total piece of shit, cheated on his wives, all that. So he's a slut technically, you know? So there's like, there's projection there. I know that for me, probably there's also like ownership shit, like not my daughter kind of shit. Just total lack of emotional competence to be able to like process or reflect or think deeply around empathy, like lack of empathy, like it's that, and that's his shit.
Yeah.
And I was talking to my sister about this, right? Because we had that discussion about why I'm not close to anyone in my family. And I explained all of this to her. And she was like, well, you can't be like that because, you know, like with our dad, for example, we share a lot of like the same traumas. So we need to be close. And I'm like, well, I'm doing the work to process my shit. I'm doing the work. I've been able to get past the fact of what's a hoe, what's a slut, and all this other shit. I can get past that, but I have to just keep a relationship with my dad just because we share a trauma, and not knowing that that's still harming me because he's not doing any of the work to do with his shit. Right. I can't try to have a relationship with people that are not going to do the work to have a relationship with me. I can't be the only one working on a relationship, and then this person is still staying right here with the same bullshit, and then I gotta deal with that shit because that's my dad or that's my cousin or like I don't know. It's just
in the
lot.
Conversation I had with the person about sex work and them being cool and all that other stuff. I told them, I said, y'all would literally like befriend a murderer and a rapist and people like that who y'all know have done that shit, and y'all would do business with them, date them, whatever the fuck, but like a sex worker is like no, that's so embarrassing. It's just, you know, it's so weird. It's weird.
And it's also shit that like seemingly that like they can seemingly have a decently happy life without doing any of that emotional labor. Like all of the impacts of trauma like on us are like things that we constantly have to like think about, reflect on, figure out how we want to show up in the world. How does this impact me? How can I work through this, whatever. But then like for them, it's like they can just be bigots and horrible people and like still be married, still have partners, still have jobs, still have a somewhat decent social life. Like there's no like expectation or impact on them being total trash. And like, so there's also like no incentive for them to make any changes either.
Facts.
They can just,
because that's what they tell you, like, and that's when they tell you, like, suck it up. Like, yeah, it's a double standard, but you know, just like suck it up. It is what it is.
I that from my cousin one time. She was like, well, some people aren't going to be okay with this, so just accept it. I'm like, why the fuck should I accept that? Why should I? What do you accept that from when people talk about you over what you've done? You don't sit there and take it because that it is what it is. No. And I'm like, why should I accept that? Especially if someone is judging me, that's my family member. I thought family had unconditional love and all this, the other. But the moment that, you know, it's been exposed that I'm a sex worker, it's like, oh my God, let me talk shit. But I'm supposed to accept that because that's my cousin and not everyone was okay with it. Well, maybe y'all should educate yourselves. Why do I
have a question about that, about educating, because I know we might have been talking a long time, but like, as far as educating your children on sex work, right? Like, how does that work? Because I just saw a video, I don't know if you guys saw it, of this girl, I don't know her age, but she seemed like she was in like middle school or something, maybe like 8th grade. And she started taking pictures and selling them to people. Like she was selling them for $5, whatever, telling people to cash up her $5. She's like doing ass shots and showing all this shit. And it's like, that's wrong, right? Like, I know that that's completely wrong. She's, you know what I'm saying? But like, how does that work?
Yeah.
I don't know. I've never educated no one in my family about it. I've explained to like people that I really care about. I've explained to them what I do, but I've never sat down and be like, and this is okay because of X, Y, and Z. I'm not going to sit there and have a whole like, I'm sorry. I don't have the desire to even do that shit. Like, the people that I feel safe with, I've just told them what I do and then just seen their reaction. If they're cool with it, then but I've never actually sat down and was like, this is this, and no, I've never done that.
Do you mean like, how do you talk to kids about sex work specifically and what boundaries should be around engaging it?
Yeah, as far as, because like, it feels like, and this is, it's hard to know, like, when does the taboo end, right? Because it's such a taboo topic, right? Air quotes, taboo topic. And then, but it is something that I feel like needs to be brought up, as far as to kids, and so that kids can learn, because so they don't grow up and be adults. Like, they need to learn from there so they don't grow up and be adults. But it's like, what age is proper to do that? Because like, I also can't imagine myself telling a 3-year-old, like, yeah, she, or not 3, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah. So a couple of things I would say. The first thing is that I encourage parents to start talking to their kids about sex and sexuality and their bodies as soon as they come out the cooch or the C-section or whatever the parts. And that can be age appropriate, which means like when you have a little baby who you do like, where's your nose? Where's your eyes? Where's your lips? Where's your nipples? Where's your belly button? Where's your vagina? Where's your butt? Where's your anus? Like, teaching them those words and what those parts are, that's like age appropriate. What's on the body is important, not only because skipping over those parts creates shame and mystery, but also because teaching kids that language gives them the foresight to tell you if someone has touched them there, right? So like starting with age appropriate, like bodies, and then also recognizing like kids are smarter and way more, I don't know if intuitive is the right word, than we give them. So they're picking up constantly on whatever is around them. So people say things like, oh, well, kids don't know about their gender or sexuality until like middle or high school because I didn't know until then. But that's not true. Like, I'm sure all of us like knew that we were a girl very early on and recognized that. And we had some interest or attraction in some way, whether that's like to friends or to romantic or pretend romantic, right, kind of things. So like giving kids space to explore that and talking to them about that as they're going through it, non-judgmentally, just factually, like, oh, you want to wear this outfit? Okay, oh, I feel like a boy. Okay, tell me what that means, because it could just be exploring. It could be like, oh, maybe they're trans, right? And I think a lot of it is erasing shame, because that creates the open dialogue so you can have conversation. And yeah, like as they going at their pace and talking to them about things, I think is really important, because then when they get to the age to be and to be doing shit, you already have the foundation to talk about it. If you waited until like they're 12 or 13, 14, 15, 16 to start talking about sex and shit, you're way late, Way late. So at this point, like with the girl who's doing the sex work shit, it's not that it's too late, but it's like you up kind of. So having conversations with them about it. And also kids do sexual shit from very early on. Little kids play with their genitals, they masturbate, they touch their friends, they get together and dry hump and do shit. So like having conversation about that is also a good opportunity to talk about boundaries, so there's not like really early assault and power play shit happening. But then getting specifically to like the sex work shit with youth and kids, I don't like to frame it as like good or bad or right or wrong. I think what is more important is figuring out where kids are at and what led them to do these certain behaviors. Because thinking about, for instance, like a 15-year-old who's working at a strip club because she's being abused at home, and so she's trying to get funds to stay at a motel as opposed to going back home where she's getting abused, or a queer kid who got kicked out of the house because they're queer and they're only 14 but they're selling ass on the street because they need something to eat. Like there's different reasons that youth get into sex work, and I think like doing a right wrong is really reductive and doesn't even like look at the bigger picture of what leads people to these places. So I feel like that's important. And then this doesn't really sound like a survival kind of circumstantial thing. This sounds like maybe, because another thing is sex work is becoming online and like sex and sexuality sex work is becoming more popularized, and especially now that kids have way more access because of apps and it really comes down to parents' due diligence to talking to their kids about this and talking about talking about boundaries and autonomy and what feels good to them and what doesn't, and then very clearly setting boundaries around like, hey, I understand that you're going to take pictures of yourself because this is what kids do. Kids are going to fucking take pictures of their titties and assholes and right? And I want you to also know that it could get in the hands of someone who's not going to do what you want it to do, or it could get out there and what could happen if that happened. And also, did you know that it's illegal to do this? It's illegal, even if it's your decision, even if it's autonomy and it feels good, it's illegal for children to take pictures of themselves because that's considered child porn, and, you know, wouldn't want you to get in trouble. And that's a whole other conversation around like abolition and but right. Like just having forthright conversations and, and just seeing what the going on. I would be really curious to know what's going on with that kid before I could even make any assumptions about what the
Let me tell you how bad the video was, because like you said, like with the story, like hearing this, like an eighth grader or whatever selling ass pictures online is like, damn, wow, what happened there? And then seeing the mom record her daughter, right? Because she's like, oh, so since you want to be on camera showing your ass, bitch, why you you little just little in my phone doing
so that's very clearly giving us insight and context for what led to this, obviously.
Right. And she literally told her, like, turn around since you want to show your ass. You don't got no ass. You ain't got no ass. And it was just like, that was like, what is happening? Like, there's just like, how could you even put your daughter on the internet like this? Like,
that's like with like the parents who like beat their kids and then post it on Facebook. It's like, what do you think you're gaining from embarrassing your child like that online? You don't want so naked pictures of themselves online, but you're fine with posting whatever you just recorded online. That's very embarrassing and shameful to them. Like, comfortable with that.
Yes, which is a very clear indicator of what goes on in that household and how little autonomy and boundaries and respect and sexuality and all that shit talked about. And probably just hearing like a snippet of that video, it wouldn't surprise me if that behavior was modeled for her, if she saw her mom maybe taking pictures of herself or talking about sexting or talking about nudes or talking about OnlyFans or something with no context to the kid, because kids listen and hear shit and then also model behavior. If you do something, your kid is probably going to do it and pick up on it and doesn't have the entire context of what the is going on. So yeah, that's really and also it speaks to how like ill-prepared parents are when people have kids. Like people are just not prepared to be responsible for like the emotional well-being or intellectual well-being of another human. And also people don't see kids as little humans. They see them as like property and things that we can just like treat like shit. So yeah, I feel really for that little person selling nudes, because who knows what the is going on in their head or how they're conceptualizing that, or perhaps even if they're like hoping that they'll get a rise out of their mom for some kind of attention, or who knows, right? But and the thing about it also beyond that being like traumatizing in a weirdly nuanced kind of situation is that when videos like that come online, what happens is it reflects poorly on sex work. It's like, well, these OnlyFans is making it so that everybody, you know, and like and no one has the capacity to have like a wholly nuanced conversation like we just did about it, to like really actually talk about it, and it just ends up being like prostitutes' fault.
And then like how many people are now going to be trying to find that underage person's in videos now, because who knows how many people she even sold that shit. Maybe it was like one person, for all we know, only that one person saw it, or so, you know, for all we know, only like one or two people like actually saw this shit. But now because this mother posted that video, now everyone seen that, so now everyone knows that there's nude pictures or whatever of this person. They're gonna be trying to find it and posting it. Oh, this is why she did. Look at her butt. Why was she doing this? You know what I'm saying? Now there's the other part there where who knows
she put her in danger. Now she didn't even
think about that. Like
trying to get clickbait.
Right. Yeah, I remember on TikTok there was like some trend with like a Pop Smoke song, and I guess what ended up happening is the trend was like young minors sucking dick or doing something sexual, and what ended up happening is as opposed to non-minors just not engaging the videos or anything like that, there was people, because the other part is like we culturally and societally just, our morals are shit, because instead of just like not engaging it, getting it removed, and then whatever happens from there, in the comments like, well, where's the video? Where can I find it? Oh, well, you can find it at this place. And like you said, who knows who's searching for it, because people want to look, and it's like that makes it too. Honestly, there's like sometimes I get really overwhelmed when I think about like the sheer level of shit that would need to change in order for there to be like even a baseline like okay society. Like,
yeah,
like my entire like life's goal is around like helping people and like pushing the culture forward and like educating people and shit. But like when I think too long around like what the fuck is actually
there's
up
so
against,
much. There's
it's
too much,
bro. Like
it feels impossible. Like
it feels like it would be common sense that if there's a video of a minor sucking that you wouldn't look for it. People are in the comments like
right.
It's beyond me. And you know what? And it's crazy because I know I do shit, right? Like I know that I'm not, there's shit I'm unaware of, and you know what I mean? That once again, not intentionally do shit, but there's shit that's up.
And intentionally, we've all done intentionally up shit. Like that's what I say. I have for sure done some shit. I'm like, how the f***? That was not that. No.
But you know, it's like, how do we stop? How the f*** do we stop? Because, you know, after you've done it, you know, it's like you've done it and you can have the accountability for it and legitimately be, you know, want to change and never do that thing again. But you've done it, and now it's continuing because you did it. Not to say, you know, you did it that one time, but if a million motherfuckers did it that one time,
correct,
it's still happening.
Yes.
Like
the way I have thought very clearly about what my values are, what's important to me, what I want my moral compass to look like, and attempting to be as principled as possible, no matter what. And so, like, we had a conversation a couple months or weeks ago where we said something about like we were gonna have a show who was like Trey Songz something. What was it? Only like, she was being like, by Trey Songz OnlyFans, and I said like, you know, if Chris Brown hit me up, like would I see him or would I not? And like truly, like it's jokes and shit, but like I would not, even though do I wanna? Like truly, and this is just the level of honesty and accountability and whatever the I have to have with myself is. I have been in love with Chris Brown, the artist, since I was in middle school. That was like my number one crush. I literally cried at his concerts. I literally almost got kicked out of a concert of his because I elbowed this little boy in the face because he was trying to get in front of me, and I wanted to be closer to be next to Chris Brown. Like this is the truth. I love that artist and the artist, whatever. He's also a total piece of shit. He goes against every single value of mine. He is someone who has done things to people that I have experienced directly, that I've asked people not to support, people who have done it to me. I cannot support this person knowing that. I can't. It sucks. That's shit. That sucks. And I have to decide what level of principle I'm going to be in order to do exactly what you're talking about, which is how do we change? And so for me, that's my thing. Is like really reflecting on what level of principle I want to be and what it looks like living that out. And part of that sometimes is doing the thing that's unethical and then just being prepared to be accountable for it. Sometimes I still decide to do things and I'm like, and I'm ready to be fucking called on it when the time comes. Like, that's fine, right? So that's, and I guess what's important about that to me is like, I'm not trying to lie to people. Like other folks, when they do unethical shit, they want to like pretend they didn't and do this like, well, not me, I wouldn't. I'm just like, listen, I'm going to try to be as principled as possible at all times. And when I'm not, drag me and I will be accountable in whatever way I need to. Also, I'm a being.
Facts. I agree. I 100% agree. Like, tell me what I did wrong. Because first of all, sorry, what did you say, V?
I said we're all gonna continue to do at one point or another. So you just gotta be okay with what comes with that.
Yeah, that's just it. Like I'd rather you come for me. Like, tell me what I did wrong. Tell me what I said wrong. That way even if I didn't recognize it, right? Like if I didn't know that I was doing whatever the fuck I was doing wrong, now I know. And now when you know better, you do better. Like now I know, so now I can move forward knowing, or if I do choose to do it again, I know, like I know.
Yeah, and like I have no desire to be performative about that. Like I know for me, for instance, a couple months or maybe a couple years ago, I don't even know what the time is at this point, but like I had folks telling me like my last name, my brand name shouldn't be Savage because that's problematic towards Indigenous people. And then people saw that I have a dream catcher tattooed on me and they were like, what the are you doing? Like you're doing all of this towards Indigenous people. And I was like, I hear you. Do what you need to do with the knowledge that Raquel Savage is my brand name.
Right.
Do what you need to do knowing that I have a dream catcher tattooed on me. You can say that her, that's fine. I'm also not going to get my tattoo covered up because when I got it, I had no idea. And for me to cover it up at this point would feel extremely performative because that doesn't actually mean that I'm doing better by Indigenous people. It doesn't mean that I'm doing anything. It just means that I got called out and I'm being reactionary to like perform some sense of something. So my decision in all things is like, I'm gonna be as principled as possible. When I'm not principled, you are totally entitled to telling me, and I'm totally entitled to respond to it how I need to, which sometimes is going to be accountable, and sometimes maybe it's not. And you are allowed and entitled to say you in the event of that. Like, that's just what it is. And to me, that feels like the best version because then that at least gives people the opportunity and autonomy to make a decision about how they want to like engage me. Because I think it's really confusing and annoying when someone does something unethical and then I call them on it or people call them on it and they try to do the thing where they're like, I didn't do that. Like, let me pretend or minimize it or whatever. It's like, just stand in that so that we can decide whether or not we even want to you anymore.
Right. And that's what accountability is. And it seems so simple. Like, it just seems like it's so easy to just be like, yeah, I did it. Like, yeah, I did it. But even
it's hard.
It's so hard. It is so hard.
No. Like, people have a hard time being wrong. And I think it's also scary to be wrong. And especially with like the existence of like online spaces and like Twitter where being wrong, even if it's pretend or real, can like end badly for some people. It is scary. And I get that. And I think that's also a part of like something that I'm hopefully like, I don't know, that I can have. I don't know. I've been thinking about that too, like what it really looks like to be accountable when Twitter, for instance, is so reactionary and there's really no accountability on Twitter, you know, like,
right.
But yeah, you just gotta body that L. Like, just body the L. Like, you did some really horrific shit or whatever. What the like? Yeah. And this is also how you know, in my opinion, abusers from just like people who do stupid, hurtful shit. People who do super hurtful shit, I feel like they're just like, all right, okay, I did it. Like, I'm sorry. Or I whatever. Like, abusers are like trying to manipulate and like do all kind of fancy.
Well, I didn't actually.
Yeah, to like.
Kind of like.
Yeah, to like get out of it in some sneaky ass way. And I'm like, okay, I can see you because now.
Right.
What the
Yeah. I'm starting to like enjoy being not enjoy, but I like when people tell me like straight up, like I enjoy like the truth of if I up, you tell me that I up so that I can be like, wow, like, you know what I'm saying? Or not, or be like, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, I did, like, I felt like that was right, or whatever the case is, or whatever it is. It's just, I enjoy when people are just honest with me about how they feel because ultimately I feel like even in all that we're saying, it's kind of just like, do you, like, be yourself, you know what you know what I'm saying, be yourself. And that leads to still people because people are going to do things all the time and still be like, well, I hear you, but this is who I am, so this is what I'm going to do. But I still respect that person more, I think, than the person that tries to pretend to be one thing and they are not that person. Like, they, you know, then I know to distance myself from you. Like, I know how to handle you as opposed to the other way.
See, this is why I just need my dad to be like, I don't with you because you're a whore. And then I could be like, cool, noted. Now I know clearly where the you stand. And I don't have to worry about no bullshit and this and that. You just mother. But they gotta be like, oh, I'm the good guy and I'm the this and the that. It just, no.
You're cool, but I wish you did it.
You're my daughter and I love you, but I wish that you weren't a big fucking slut who sucks for money.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, you're just a nurse. God damn it. A teacher.
Yeah.
I need all my scammer niggas, bring that cash out.